related show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. With over 20 years of real estate experience and selling over 150 homes a year, Laura Sanders is the #1 RE/MAX agent in the state of Florida for 2021. Join us each week as we discuss how to make money through buying and flipping homes, to renting versus selling, and everything in between. To join the conversation, call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. Every week we talk about something that will help you make a little money, save a little money, just to navigate this crazy little world that we live in. And today we're going to talk about to buy or not to buy a condo. And with us today we have Max Fisch. And Max, I wanted to talk about, should we buy these condos or should we not buy these condos?
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, thanks for having me.
No, thanks for always coming. Here.
And well, that is funny. That's an opening line for the ages. So, the condo question is really interesting, right? Because I think that there's a lot of different variables when purchasing condos, but there's also a lot of misinformation, I feel like, floating around in the market. I honestly think that it might be one of the best times to buy a condo ever. And here's why. Because right now condo associations are going through changes, right? They're being forced to make sure that their buildings are up to code, that there's no deferred maintenance. Anything that's been pending for a long time is being fixed.
So the current owners are being forced to pay it.
Yeah, and we're in an environment where there's a lot of people that are afraid to purchase condos because they're going through these changes.
Right.
But when they finish going through these changes in the next year or two, and all these condo buildings are now up to code, they're up to date, there's no safety hazards or any of that going on, now you have almost like a brand new building, condo, that doesn't have any issues.
Right.
It makes condos a lot more marketable. So for people that are looking to build equity in something, I think that now would be a good time to consider purchasing a condo.
So are the mortgage companies asking for the last 12 months of the minutes?
So they're only asking for the last 12 months of minutes if they can't get the answers that they're looking for from the HOA. Like, is there any deferred maintenance? Is there anything pending?
But who answers that question?
The HOA does. So like a management company or a HOA representative, they'll answer the question, and it can be as simple as answering an email.
So why, so I just had a deal recently in a 55 plus condo, and they came back and said, we want, the mortgage company came back and said, we want to see your 40-year.
Yeah.
And they said, because it was in the minutes that said that the 40-year was completed, and they said, we want to see the 40-year.
Yeah.
So they said, we don't have the 40-year, it's not due till the end of the year. And it says, well, in your minutes, it says it was completed. So they gave them the 40-year, and in the 40-year, it said that there was an inspection done back in 2023.
Yep.
Then they wanted the 2023 inspection, which in 2023 showed that there was deferred maintenance.
Yep.
Right?
So if there is deferred maintenance, then the bank is going to want to make sure that any critical. So we're not talking about they're redoing the floors and the paint. Right? Anything critical. If the electrical is messed up, or plumbing, or concrete restoration is a big one. If that shows up on an inspection report, the bank is going to want to make sure that that was taken care of. If it hasn't been taken care of yet, the building might not be lendable.
Okay. Somehow we ended up getting through this, but there was also an insurance. Like, insurance becomes now an issue too.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about. So if I'm a seller, right, what should a seller be looking for when they're going to sell their condo? Because I know that sometimes sellers get a little upset when agents come out for a listing appointment and they start saying, we're going to need this and we're going to need that. And they're like looking at you like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so the easiest thing to look for when purchasing when selling a condo.
Because you have to get information together for that agent.
Yeah, if you just ask for the master insurance policy from the HOA, the easiest thing for a seller, an untrained eye, to look for is what the deductible is
Okay.
on the hurricane or on the wind.
And what would that show?
If the deductible is more than 5%, there may be issues.
Okay.
Because Fannie and Freddie conventional loan guidelines speak directly to deductibles that are over 5%. So if the deductible right off the bat is 5% or lower, which 5% I would say is standard,
Okay.
then we know that at least that's not going to be an issue for lending purposes. But that's an easy thing to know in 2 seconds.
Okay. So if you do have more than a 5% deductible, right? Now you can go look at your budget balance sheet, right? Now I know I'm starting to talk Chinese here, right?
Yeah, you're starting to get into the X's and O's.
All right. So now
Yeah.
we look at the budget balance sheet. If it's over $500,000, then the condo is not carrying enough coverage, and now they're violating the Florida statute.
Yeah, so the problem is sometimes some of these condo associations are in limbo, right? Because typically they get an appraisal every 3 years on their building. And the appraisal, what the appraisal shows is it shows replacement cost. Hey, what's the estimated replacement cost if this entire building were to burn down, right? And the reality is that over the past 3 years, what's happened? The cost of construction has done what? It's gone way up.
Right.
So these insurance policies are based off of a replacement cost that was 3 years ago.
Right.
Right? But what happens if an insurance policy is midway through, right? Their effective date, their annual effective date, and a new appraisal is done. A new appraisal was done 2 weeks ago. It's going to show a higher replacement cost,
Right.
but their current insurance policy is based off of 3 years ago. So now you're in this limbo period where the association is underinsured because they just got new appraisal with new replacement costs.
Right.
Right? And so that can kind of create issues as well in underwriting. So it's important, I say all this to say it's very important that if people are purchasing a condo, that these things are done up front, that they're partnering with people that understand condo financing and condo purchasing,
Right.
right? And can look for these things up front to help mitigate any fallout later on in the
typically,
transaction.
like if I go out with a buyer and they want to buy a condo, I tell them like, hey, it really matters who you're using for your lending.
Yeah, it does.
And, sometimes even, I tell them some buildings aren't going to be warrantable.
Sure.
And you might have to go a different avenue other than conventional.
Yeah.
So I guess then, when you go from conventional to unwarrantable condos, what's the difference in an interest rate?
I would say typically about 1%
Okay.
difference.
What does a percent usually mean in your payment, though?
It depends on the purchase price, but it could be a few $100s a month.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, but it's for some condos, it's the reality. It might be the difference of somebody purchasing a condo and not purchasing, right?
Right.
What for everybody listening, what she means by non-warrantable is that it doesn't meet Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's not. It doesn't mean it's a bad place. It's just
Yeah.
a different kind of, conventional is just one type of loan, just like
Yep.
FHA, VA.
Yeah, I'll give everybody an example. So Fannie Mae, when I say Fannie and Freddie, for those of you who don't know, I'm talking about conventional loans.
Well, government.
Fannie and Freddie conventionally,
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have a guideline that says if somebody's putting less than 25% down, if there are more than 15% of the unit owners late, 60 days or more late on their HOA dues,
That's a lot.
it's ineligible. Not 50, 15%.
Still a lot, though.
So if there's 100 units and more than 15 units are 60 days or more late, it's ineligible for conventional financing. That would be a perfect example of where a non-warrantable loan would come in, because there's nothing wrong with the condo or the association or the building. It simply just doesn't meet Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines.
Right. What's another example of something that might create that really isn't something really wrong with the building? It's just something that.
Yeah, well, another example would be the insurance issue when they're
Right.
in limbo for that period
Right,
of
which
time.
isn't really a bad thing.
No, it's just it hasn't had time to update yet.
Right.
That's an example. A lot of times Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they don't like to lend on condo associations that have hotel-like characteristics. So, hey, we have a restaurant in here. We, different things like that, to where obviously that's marketable, But Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are weird about that.
That's interesting.
So that might be a non-warrantable condo deal.
So let me ask you, so you know the condo that's on there on Atlantic and A1A? They have a restaurant, or they used to.
Are you talking about Silver Thatch?
No.
Oh, okay.
The one right there, it's not that old. It actually even had Chinese drywall. I'm trying to think. Wow. It was built in like 2005.
Yeah, I know which building you're talking about, but I can't think of the name.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, just things like that, I wonder if.
Yeah, it's, it all stems from, if you dig deeper, the reason why the guidelines are the way they are is because whenever there's a lack of control over something, rec lease is a perfect example.
Right.
Right? If a rec lease, guys, is there are amenities in a condo association or building that aren't owned by the HOA or controlled by the HOA, they are owned by a separate entity and they are leasing those things, like tennis courts and things of that nature.
And I had one of those recently in Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah, and the problem is that because they're controlled and owned by a separate entity, who knows what can happen to them, and it could damage the marketability of the condo of the condo units.
Right.
And so that's why Fannie and Freddie don't like that. It's all anything that increases risk past their threshold. That's why the guidelines are the way they are.
Right. Well, when we come back, we're going to go to a commercial break and check out our awesome sponsors. But when we come back, we're going to talk about like what's included in the maintenance and why the payments are what they are, but how much they really do include. They include so much. So we really have to take that into account
That's a good point.
when we think about, oh, it's so expensive, but is it really
That's a
so
good point.
expensive? So when we come back, to buy or to not buy, should we buy these condos or not? Check our sponsors out. We'll be right back.
Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Max Fisch, a top 1% mortgage loan officer in the nation, will give you a same-day qualifying quote. Max Fisch is committed to providing his customers with mortgage services that exceed their expectations, ensuring that you make the right choice for you and your family is his ultimate goal. Contact Max Fisch today at 954-729-6933 or max.fisch@nwmcorp.net.
Thank you for tuning in for Making Money with.
At JK Closing Attorneys, we do all of the same things that a title company does, but with the benefits of being a law office. We can help with residential real estate, short sales, commercial real estate, refinances, 1031 exchanges, and FRIPTA withholding.
Contact JK Closing Attorneys today at 954-332-3111. Again, that is 954-332-3111.
You have been watching Making Money with Laura. For more information, contact Laura Sanders at 954-650-0827 or visit her website at theloracell.com. And now back to the show.
Hi, and welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders, and today we are talking about to buy or not to buy. Should you buy a condo in today's market? That is the question, and I say yes. Of course I say yes, I'm a realtor. Yeah. You know, it's funny. So today I saw a text, right? Mm-hmm. And it's in 1971, the interest rates for a mortgage was 7.33. If you waited for interest rates to go down, you wouldn't have purchased a home until 1993. You would have rented for 22 years waiting for rates to go down. Meanwhile, the value of real estate quadrupled. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. Marry the house, date the rate, it says, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So that's kind of funny, right?
I mean, it goes back to the old additive of, I think I've even said it on the show before. When was the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago.
Of course.
When was the next best time?
So I was having this conversation that I'm selling houses right now for clients, multiple clients that I sold 10 and 12 years ago.
Yeah.
They bought these homes for like $275, $350, $325, right?
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I'm selling them for actually I have one client, he bought for I looked it up, it was like $250 We're selling that for $475, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Small house, very small house. And then another one, they bought it for $350. They're selling it for $775.
Wow.
And it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of mind blowing, right? If those people had waited by the sideline, right, they'd have nothing. They would have rented. Right?
Well, historically speaking, and you can speak to this probably more than I can, but nobody ever wins waiting to purchase real estate. I mean, there's small blips in the past 100 years to where it's like, okay, in 2008, 2009, maybe it was like a good time because values, but
even if you got rid of, and you weren't in the market at the time,
sure.
But even if you'd gotten rid of and short sold your properties, probably was a mistake.
Yeah, no, it was.
But if you couldn't afford it, you couldn't afford it. I get it.
Yeah.
So you had no choice,
Yeah.
right?
But everybody was freaking out.
But if you could have kept it, and some people could have,
Yeah.
they chose not to. But if you could have kept it, you should have kept it.
Yeah, but that's my
Came
point.
back.
My point is when I have clients that tell me, hey, I'm thinking about waiting. In my head, I'm like, I don't know how to explain to people that no one ever wins by waiting.
Yeah.
You don't win. If
Yeah.
you can purchase a home, you have the means to, you can afford it. If you are simply waiting, not because you want to save more, but because you think that there's going to be a better time to purchase.
Yeah. That's a perfect example. That means that you are waiting. That's why when everybody's like, oh, we're going to buy the rate down, we're going to do this. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't want to depend on that.
Yeah.
I don't want to depend on that I'm going to be able to refinance in 2 years or 3 years. I want to know that whatever my rate's going to be, like you're almost better taking that $20,000 buy down and using it for your closing costs,
Yeah.
or using it to buy down the rate like 3/4 of a point to have your payment a little less over the 30 years and not plan on it
Yeah.
being able to be refinanced. And if it does, great. If it doesn't,
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think that the
comfortable with
mental
your
block
payment.
too is, I heard Dave Ramsey say this one time.
Mm-hmm.
He said that finances is 80% behavior and 20% math.
okay.
And I've never heard something more true when it comes to finances.
say that's
because,
true.
Yeah, because here's the thing. People make emotional decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't understand, I guess they do subconsciously, but outwardly they don't understand basic economics, right? If rates drop, then what happens to prices?
Prices go up.
There's not really a world that we live in where rates are going to drop and prices are going to stay the same or be lower.
And that's why I say to people, okay, you're waiting for the rates to drop. Great. So is everybody else. So when they drop, you're all going to go running out to buy. So then everybody's house's prices are going to go up.
It's like a teeter-totter.
So why don't you just buy it and then just refinance it? And if that happens, great.
Sure.
And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Don't buy something you don't love.
Yeah.
Be out there. Like, you know what I love about the market right now?
What?
I love that I can negotiate.
Yeah, it's great.
I love to negotiate. So you know what I love right now? I love buyers. Do you know what I did not love in 2021? Buyers.
That's fine.
Do you know what I loved in 2021? Listings.
Listings.
Do you know what I do
Sellers.
not love right now?
Let me guess.
Listings. Because they're a lot of work.
Yeah. No, I
Okay.
mean,
So
it's funny how
I
the market
love to
flips.
negotiate.
But let me ask you a question. As a real estate agent, would you say we're in a stable market? Would you consider this
not for condos.
not for condos?
No, not at all. I
Mm-hmm.
think that we're seeing, so like I can kind of give you an example, especially 55 plus condos, seeing a huge spiraling down. Give you an example, Winmore. I was seeing 2.2s with washer
Yeah.
dryers in it at 300,000, maybe even a little over that price.
Yeah.
I would say they're about 220, 215 now. That's a significant drop in the
Yeah.
market within a year. Significant.
It's like 30%.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. I would say that people are very discriminative of their decisions and purchases.
Yeah. But would you say it's balanced in the sense of, okay, it's not really a seller's market, but it's also not like super a buyer's market either. It's kind of like it's kind of like stable.
I would say it's stable like that. Yeah, I would definitely say that it's stable as far as buyer seller market. Yes, for sure, because there's definitely listings out there for sure, right?
Yeah.
What I would say is though, I would say that people haven't spent as much money as I would think on remodeling their homes.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed.
Well, that's part of what
House poor?
That's part of what the Fed is trying to do. They're trying to make things expensive so people stop spending money. That's how inflation slows.
Yeah. A lot of people were remodeling their home during COVID.
Yeah.
But then a lot of the homes on the market, I don't see like a lot of upgraded homes.
Well, a lot of people in my experience use loans to remodel their homes, right? A lot of people aren't paying $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 cash to renovate their homes.
Right.
So what's happening is the loans that they're getting, that they have access to on the open market, are directly impacted by the Fed rates right now.
Right.
The cost to borrow money is so high that people are holding off on renovations. That's what I see.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with the sentiment.
I just see that, like what I see out on the market, like it's almost like the people that have never remodeled their homes are putting them out on the market.
Yeah.
Like all the original people, like
And those are the ones that are sitting.
baby boomers, are selling their homes now.
Yeah.
But they didn't do anything. It's almost like they hoarded their money.
Well, the baby boomer generation is interesting to me because a lot of them, I think they were. I think a lot of
my
them.
parents are baby boomers.
Well, a lot of them stayed in their houses for
Forever,
30,
yeah.
40 years.
Yeah, my mom's still there.
Nobody does that anymore. Nobody stays in their house for that long.
Yeah.
On average, what, 5 to 7 years? People
That's
move.
what they say. The average is 7 years. Yeah.
Nobody stays for
Yeah.
30, 40 years.
Yeah.
But that's a problem because now these people that have been there for 40 years, they bought their home at $50,000.
Nah, she paid $178.
Well, listen, that might be a really nice home because I know my parents bought their house for $100,000 in Coral Springs, 4-2 with
Were
a
they
pool.
in Deer Run?
No, they're in the clusters.
Oh, okay. It's close. That's right by Deer Run.
Yeah.
It's like down the street.
And you know, now those homes are worth $700,000-800,000.
Yeah.
And they've been there since 1992.
Yeah, my mom moved here in 1989.
You know, it's.
How did yours end up being less money than my mom's? Interesting.
I don't know. Maybe she got a bad deal.
I wasn't her realtor. I was only in ninth grade.
Listen, we're talking about over 30 years ago.
I was only in ninth grade.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I didn't even know a realtor was a thing.
That generation is
know it's a
interesting to
thing.
me because they just stayed put.
Yeah.
They did not move.
Yeah, my mom got into an interesting situation actually.
Really, back then.
No, not too long ago. My mom and dad got into an argument. My dad and mom had a second house in New York. My mom and dad were in New York back and forth.
Yeah.
My mom was up in New York. My dad and mom got into a fight. My mom came back down here. Their main house was down here. Their homestead was down here.
Yeah.
Well, my dad decided, I'm not going back to Florida. My dad filed a homestead up in New York.
Oh, wow.
Which, yeah. So then my dad ends up dying.
Oh, wow.
And my mom finds out that she lost her homestead. And they went backwards onto my mom. So my mom's $3,500 taxes ended up being $15,000 taxes.
Oh, my goodness.
So my mom lost all that time was gone.
Wow.
She couldn't get it back because my dad did that.
Really?
Yeah.
Is she still in that home?
She's still in that home
Wow.
with very high taxes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and
That's
that
the benefit
really
of
messed
homestead,
up,
really,
being
but-
on a fixed income.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the benefit of homestead, really. I mean,
Yeah.
think about what that's saving people.
You know, I had another friend, same thing. She lived with her mom since like the last 10 years. And her mom, I told her, I said, hey, you really should be on the deed with your mom. You live there, it's your homestead. That's your house.
Yeah.
You live there, you're with your mom. She didn't listen to me. Mom dies. House is left to her and her sister. I don't know what happened, but within like that, taxes went from $2,500 to like $15,000. And she's calling me up and I'm like, I told you. But you know, when you're going through a sick parent, you can't.
Sure.
So anyway, moving back, there's a lot of things you need to know about taxes, but going back to condos, we're not having much time left, but let's talk about what's included in your maintenance. When we're dealing with condos, you have your water,
Yep.
your basic cable, sometimes your internet.
Yeah.
They take care of the exterior, like
Exterior
the lawn,
and insurance.
outside. They take care of the insurance on the interior. I mean, well, the exterior and like the interior walls. Then usually you have a pool, which, I mean, you think about it, if you're taking care of your own insurance at home and you're taking care of your pool and you're taking care of your lawn and you're taking care of your internet and you're taking care of your water and your cable and all this
cable by
stuff,
itself now is what,
like
$100?
$300?
I mean,
I don't know if
it's
you're
a
buying
lot. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's definitely over 100.
Definitely.
You know, but just that in of itself. So you're absolutely right. I know,
even if you see it's $800 for a maintenance payment, like realistically.
Yeah. I mean, it adds up. I mean, you're talking about a few $100s a month of insurance that you would have to pay, a couple $100s for cable and internet. You're talking about maybe $100 for water. You know, those things start to add up, and it's stuff that you would pay for anyways.
Yep.
It's just now you don't have a headache of making separate payments to a bunch of different places.
Yep.
Right. So I do think you're absolutely right. I do think that the cost of the HOA dues is a little overstated.
Yeah. Well, Max and I are condo experts, so if you're thinking about buying or selling a condo, you definitely need to give us a call. We know all the ins and outs of purchasing a condo. We can definitely help you. We also want to congratulate the Ostros today from their purchase that they just closed on their house today, so we want to congratulate you on that. And if you're thinking about buying or selling, you can give Max a call at
954-729-6933.
Or if you're looking for an awesome realtor, you can give me a call at 954-650-0827. And we look forward to you next week, every Thursday at 7 o'clock, listening to Making Money with Laura Sanders. Thanks and have a great week.
Thank you for tuning in for Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. To join the conversation, call us at the studio, 888-994-4995 Studio A, or contact Laura directly at 954-650-0827. Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. We look forward to seeing you next week.